Barakatay Hawa, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Jake is Still in That Same Spirit. And pretty much this lesson comes to the inspiration of Bible reading I was listening to earlier. I just went for a little stroll just to get my mind, I like to go for a walk sometimes just to kind of clear my head and just, helps me to think sometimes. And not no exercise or anything like that. Just, I just went for like a little stroll just to meditate. And I was listening to the scriptures and I came across this one scripture I was reading, which Lord's will we're going to go into it in this lesson. And it brought that mindset that really ain't nothing changed from back when, Jake was in slavery all the way till now. That's why it's called Jake is in that same spirit, so we're going to get into it. When you go back, when Jake was in hardcore slavery, sometimes you had some Jakes that would rebel. You had those Jakes that would stand up, speak against, the so-called master, so on and so forth. And then other slaves would get nervous. They would get mad at that one particular slave because, they were saying, look, man, you're going to make shit harder for us, man. Just be cool, man. Just chill out, man, because you're going to make shit harder for us. And that's been the same mindset over and over and over and over and over and over again. Because pretty much we as a people, we had been defeated, and the last, one of the last, in order to, have a straight up obedient slave, you have to break them mentally. This is what the Willie Lynch letters and all them things were about. Divide and conquer, and all the psychological mind fucks that Esau pushed out there. And this is why Jake today still has that slave mentality. Because they didn't want those Jakes that were bold enough to stand against the master to do that because they would make life harder for them. So it says slave mentality. I put that in. It said if we go to the dictionary meanings, it simply means a mental attitude that includes feeling of inferiority. And that's what it is with Jake. They've been told that they were inferior for so long that they actually believe it. But really, when we go into the scriptures, right, we go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, and verse 6. This is what the Lord said about the Israelites. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. So if we are a holy people and a special people, that means that we're not inferior. Because we find favor in the sight of the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Then it goes on to say, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So we are superior to all people. So when they call us so-called black supremacists, which we're not black, me, myself, I'm Ephraim, so-called Puerto Rican. So when they call us so-called black supremacists, supremacist is not a bad word. You have people that are superior to others. You have those that are inferior to others. But the ones that are inferior had a role reversal to where they call us inferior and they call themselves superior. We read, I believe it was in the lesson yesterday, I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking the ground as servants. So there's been a role reversal. So in the role reversal, there's also been a psychological mindfuck, to where Esau has made us, at one point, all of us, and you still have Jakes out there that had the same mentality, feel that we were inferior to them. When you come around them, you got to be on your best behavior. You can't look them in the eye. You got to, whatever they say, you just got to go with it. Don't stir up the pot. Don't stir up no problems. Don't, straight up bullshit. It says above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So not only are we holy and special, but we're holy and special above all other people that are on the face of the earth. Now, when we go to Deuteronomy 28, the garlic to Christianity, in the first verse, and it shall come to pass, if thou wilt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy power will set thee on high above all nations on the earth. So we are superior. We are not inferior. We've just been brought down to an inferior state because, of our rebellion, but it was all set up that way. All right, so slave mentality is a mental attitude that includes feeling of inferiority. But more truly, slave mentality is a belief which is thriving in most of the third world countries. It's thriving here too. It's been thriving, which has led to believe that they cannot do anything on their own. Right. If Massa ain't saying it, then I ain't gonna go with it. They can't think on their own. They can't, reason on their own. If it ain't coming from Esau, they don't know how to maneuver. That's a straight up slave mentality. It says, why do I have a slave mentality? Some people have a slave mentality because they do not know that they should change their mindset to what? To a ruling class mentality, which is the opposite of a slave mentality. They believe it is easier and better to stay where they are because it is where they have always been. You see, stay in your lane, don't stir up the pot, don't rock the boat. And that is where everyone they know has always been. And therefore they do not know to go after anything else, or to go after anything else. It's a misprint. All right, we got this one here. What are the characteristics of a slave? For the duration of their servitude, they were bonded to their master. And that's where the slave mentality comes from. If Esau don't say it, or if Esau don't go along with it, then they can't think on their own. They need somebody to guide them, to tell them what to do. Because that slave mentality has been embedded in Jake, all the way from back then. And they still have it today. Even the ones that, so-called hardcore, these hardcore roughnecks on the streets, when they come around Esau, the majority of them flinch. The majority of them flake. The majority of them cower. Their freedoms were restricted. They were forbidden to marry without consent. They did not have freedom of movement and did not receive the level of justice in courts that a non-indentured person would receive. Now, what are the characteristics of a slave mentality? Slave morality is the inverse of master morality, right? So it's the total opposite. Because master morality, they had what? A ruling class mentality, which most Jakes do not have today. As much, it is characterized by pessimism. Pessimism is the doubt, always doubting. I don't know if I could do this. I don't know. It's like a hard task. We are never going to get out of this situation. We're always going to be at the bottom. This is where we were put at. This is where we're supposed to be. Pessimism and cynicism. Slave morality is created in opposition to what master morality values as good, right? Because the ruling class mentality, the master, the Edomites, they had to instill the slave mentality into their slaves so that they could be obedient for life. It says slave morality does not aim at exerting one's will by strength, but by careful subversion, right? By careful subversion. And what was that subversion? Because it's an overthrow. So what was the subversion? They made us to believe that, okay, that's all we are, slaves. They took away our right to read. They took away our education. When the Edomites came over to the Americas, what they did was they destroyed all of the records, that they found here. They separated families, just like they did, with the kingdom of Judah. And then they re-educated the children. This is why you had boarding schools, so on and so forth, to remove them far away from their heritage, therefore being able to re-educate them and set them on the course that would best serve the master, keeping them as slaves so that they wouldn't get the bright idea to be, in a ruling class mentality that we're supposed to be in. Because even in the lower state that we're in, we're a special people. We're a royal people, And Jake, even in his low state, with the little bit that they have, they make the best of it and they live like kings. And these devils know that. This is why it's especially with the Hebrew Israelites, it's a constant threat of us being out there and teaching, because they know that everything begins with the mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. You get the right mindset into Jake out here, it begins to change who they are. It begins to elevate them from that slave mentality into that ruling class mentality, that regal class mentality. And the scriptures say that wisdom causes a man's face to change or something along those lines. And pretty much you could see the difference between an individual when they're in that docile slave mentality and when they've come up and they've learned and they've, bust through that slave mentality and come into a different mindset of having a ruling class mentality. A good movie that shows you that is the movie Lawnmower Man. You had the character that was played by the individual. His name was Job in the movie. He was a docile, geeky, retarded kind of guy. He didn't have any class. Then the doctor started probing and using him as a test and building up his mind in learning. And you could see the change in him. He went from being the one that got picked on, the one that got made fun of, to the one that was desired. And he went from being looked down upon to looking down on others, because his mind changed. And that's what's happening right now. That's why I said that the spirit of life entered into them. And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. All right? So let's get into the scripture that brought about this whole mindset, which was the spirit. Jake is still in that same spirit. Like we mentioned earlier about how when, Jake would stand up against the master, other Israelites were mad at him. Why are you acting like this? Why are you doing this? It's making our life harder. You're making things harder for us. This has been insane. Why you just can't just be obedient like everybody else? And this is something that has always been like that, no matter who was ruling. No matter when Esau ruled or anyone else. Now, yep. Yeah, the brother said his physical literally changed. Lawnmower Man. That's right. It's a good movie. I suggest y'all see it. Don't watch the second one. The second one was bullshit. The first one was really good. Let me see. The brother put Ecclesiastes 8:1. Who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. You see that movie from beginning to end, Lawnmower Man? You will see this scripture in 3D. You see him going from a docile, individual to a ruling class mentality individual. So this is the scripture that set it off. Samson burns Philistine crops. And when you understand the history, they took his woman, and her father gave him to his companion, so on and so forth. So Samson got mad. He grabbed a bunch of foxes, put a firebrand between them, and set them off through the crops of the Philistines. They burnt down their fields. So then they came at him, because of that. All right. So just to give you a perspective, you could go back and read it for yourself. Judges 15:1. The point is a little further down. But it came to pass within a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, that Samson visited his wife with the kid. And he said, I will go in to my wife into the chamber, but her father would not suffer him to go in. And her father said, I verily thought that thou hadst utterly hated her. Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of her. And Samson said concerning them, now shall I be more blameless than the Philistines, though I do them a displeasure. So what was he doing? He was pissing them off. You know? And Samson went and caught 300 foxes and took firebrands and turned tail to tail and put a firebrand in the midst between the two tails. And when he had set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standing corn of the Philistines and burnt up both the shocks and also the standing corn with the vineyards and olives. Then the Philistines said, who have done this? And they answered Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because he had taken his wife and given her to his companion. And the Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. Right? And Samson said unto them, though you have done this, yet will I be avenged of you, and after that I will cease. And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter. So he fucked them Philistines up. And he went, you gonna kill my hoe? I'm about to show you how it goes down up in these parts. And he went down and dwelt in the top of the rock Etam. Then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah. So what happened? This whole situation that happened, even though he was justified, it caused this nation of the Philistines to stand up against Judah. Right? Why are you causing all this mayhem, man? And spread themselves in Lehi. And the men of Judah said, why are you come up against us? And they answered, to bind Samson are we come up to do to him as he hath done to us. Right? Now listen to what they said. Then 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of the rock Etam and said to Samson, knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? Don't you know that they're our slave masters? They're over us? Why you pissing massa off? You making it harder for the rest of us. Come on. Can't we all just get along? Why are you doing this? Why? Because Jake was in that slave mentality then. You bring it up to date during the time of, the so-called American slavery. Same mindset, same spirit. Nothing changed. That same slave mentality. Knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? What is it that thou hast done unto us? Why are you putting us through this? Don't you see what they're doing? Don't you see what your actions are causing? Can't you just be a good slave? Can't you just behave? Can't you just act right? Your mama brought you up wrong. Something wrong with you, boy. And he said unto them, as they did unto me, so have I done unto them. So pretty much Jake is still in that same, even to this day. You have certain Jakes out there say, come on, man. When other Jakes get riled up, they say, come on, man, you got to chill out, man. You're going to make it harder for the rest of us out here. So Jake is still in that same mindset to this very day. Nothing different. And when I was listening to this earlier, I was like, wow, Now, the lunar Sabbath is what sets off the Sabbath for the rest of the month. So if the lunar Sabbath falls on a Thursday night to a Friday night, then the Sabbath for that month would be Thursday night to Friday night. No, we don't follow the Friday night to Saturday night because that's not scriptural. When you go to the new moon is the first day of the month. The new moon is also a Sabbath. Then you will count your 6 days, and then the 7th day, which would be the 8th day, would be the next new moon. the next Sabbath, so on and so forth, till you get to the end of the month. Then there's a transition. Since you're new, you gotta watch the videos. You gotta go Type in the new moon or new moon Sabbaths, something along those lines. Put in GMS, and then you'll run across it. All right. So pretty much they're still in that same mentality today. You know, you're making it hard for us. What is this that thou hast done unto us? You know, and you could see that. You know, the movie Rosewood with Ving Rhames. You know, when they were doing all that they were doing, and they were grabbing Jakes up, lynching them, you know, for the actions of one slave because they want to get back or pay back. That hasn't changed. You know, and they said unto him, we are come down to bind thee, that we may deliver thee into the hand of the Philistines. And Samson said unto them, swear unto me that you will not fall upon me yourself. So pretty much they wanted to bind him so that the Philistines could stop messing with them. But really, when you analyze the situation, Samson was justified in what he did. So they should have stood by their brother. No, you're making it hard for us, man. We just want a nice, easy life, like we read over here about the slave mentality. You know? They believe it is easier and better to stay where they are because it is where they have always been, and that is where everyone they know has always been. Stay in your lane. Yeah, well, see, this is your problem right here. Khan King, I follow a bunch of different camps. And that's not good. You got to pray to the Lord and find the right camp. It says, so far this the only one that goes by the lunar one. Topics like this is what be dividing us. Well, there's going to be divisions because we're supposed to speak the same thing. But your job, you know, if you are part of the elect, is to find, you know, the group that the Lord is going to put you with. You know? Because the scriptures say, be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about by every weight of doctrine, every wind of doctrine. Because you're going to go to all them different groups and you're going to get confused. When you go all the way back, you know, to the time of the Lord, there were a lot of different groups teaching a lot of different things. But you had the Messiah, Yahushua, with the disciples that were teaching the word. You know, and this is why they said, look, you know, you come in here with your doctrine. So the doctrine was accused. You see? So, you know, you may have to do some soul searching. You know, I mean, you can't go wrong with Great Millstone, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you have to be led by the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You know? So, let's go on. Isaiah chapter 30 and 1. Woe to the rebellious city. It says, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. See? And this is what Jake does. They're rebellious, and they take counsel, but not of the Lord. And when we go out there and teach them, what happens? Let's get another precept. Let's go to Romans chapter 10. I started 1. The point is a little further down. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to the Most High for Israel is that they might be saved. All right, well, you just got to, you know, you got to find a group. You know, you got to stick with it. You can't keep hopping around. Can't keep camp hopping. Or you're going to be more confused. Then you're going to, every time you get confused, you're going to want to get unconfused. You know? And we're here to teach. And that's about it. You know, we're not here to hold anyone's hands. You know, we're here to, you know, if you need answers or whatever, we try to give, you know, we give answers according to what the scriptures say. But at the end of the day, you know, we can't say who the elect are and who the elect are not. This is something you have to figure out, you know, between you and you got to build your own personal relationship with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You know, not to sound like the church, but in that they are correct, but they're talking about sweet Jesus. We talking about Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So it says, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to the Most High for Israel is that they might be saved, for I bear them record that they have a zeal of the Most High. So Jake has a zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge. Because what is their motivation? Their motivation is what Esau teaches them, that Renaissance Christianity, you know? And if it ain't dealing with that, and it doesn't have a white face that is attached to it, then they don't want to know about it. No, because Jake is still in that slave mentality, but not according to knowledge. So they have a zeal. They like to speak about the Lord. They like to give what we call lip service, but they don't like to serve the Lord when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to the righteousness of the truth. It says, for they being ignorant of the Most High's righteousness. So they're ignorant, and the word ignorant simply means that they don't know. So in not knowing, you would think that if someone that knew would guide them and teach them and show them, they would listen and follow, but they don't. That's why it says, today being ignorant of the Most High's righteousness and going about to what? Establish their own righteousness. Because they're not looking to please the Lord, to serve the Lord with fear and trembling. They're looking to how can the Lord, serve me? How, what group can I get to or get with that will, cater to my lifestyle? And that's the problem with Jake. You go to these different church denominations, you tell them what the scriptures say, they get mad at you, they want to fight you. Because they're not connected to the book, really. Even though they have that zeal, even though they are Israelites, they're not really connected to the book. Because when you start bringing the book out, they want to fight you, they want to find excuses, they want to say that's man wrote that book, so on and so forth. It says, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of the Most High. So they want to establish their own righteousness and have not submitted. If you don't submit to the righteousness of the Most High, which is what's written in the book, then you're going to be off on your own. Scriptures say, lean not upon thine own understanding. It says, for Yahushua is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth. Right, these are the Israelites. When it says everyone that believeth, it's not talking about all nations. It's talking about the Israelites. You can read about that in the 9th chapter. You can read about that in the 1st chapter. All right, these letters, they were letters before they were books. A letter is a personalized thing. These letters were addressed personally to Israelites that were scattered in Rome, to Israelites that were scattered in Galatia, to Israelites that were scattered in those different regions. All right, so going back, Isaiah 31, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, because they're not listening to this word. They're leaning upon what Esau says, Esau being the so-called white man. And they're covered with a covering, but not of my spirit, right? Because what is the cover that they're wearing? They're wearing a covering of Christianity, for the most part. Some are wearing the covering of Islam. Some are wearing the covering of the black conscious community in whatever capacity, whether Egyptologists or more, or whatever. You have a whole smorgasbord of beliefs in the so-called black conscious community. So they cover with the covering, but what? Not of my spirit. What is the spirit of the Lord? The word. This is why he said, I will give you pastors that will feed you with knowledge and understanding. What according to mine heart, he said. Whatever is written in his book, which are the thoughts, the mind, the opinions, the mindset, the way that the Most High wants us to serve and worship him. That they may what? Add sin to sin. What is sin? The transgression of the law. And by them having that slave mentality, their devotion is to who? To their slave master, which is Esau, and not to the Most High. It says that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth. Right, because they're not asking what can they do to better themselves or get closer to the Heavenly Father according to what the book says. They're saying it to do it according to what, whatever you say. They want your opinion on it so that they can find a little little resting place, right, where it could cater to their lifestyle. You know? It says to strengthen themselves, what? In the strength of Pharaoh. Pharaoh was an ancient king of, the ancient kings of Egypt. Today, the modern day Pharaoh is Esau. And this is why the majority of these Israelites are here. Their whole thing is predicated upon the government and the religion that is pushed by the government, which is nothing more than white supremacist, Christianity. And trust in the shadow of Egypt. So their whole trust and mindset is in the shadow of Egypt. That's why the slaves say, why you making things harder for us, man? You making, these guys come down on us. You making massive mad with us. You making it life harder for us. Just like in Egypt, when Moses went to the Pharaoh, said, the Lord said, let my people go. He said, what? Because the people are idle. The Pharaoh said, the people are idle. So you know what? Take away their bricks. Make them, to don't give them the straw and certain things so that they can, but they still got to build those bricks, and they still got to keep the same pace that they were going at when they had the bricks. Make sure the cotton quota is on point. If your shit is light, you're going to get some stripes. Same mentality, never changed. This is how you know who the Israelites are. They're still in that slave mentality. They haven't risen above slave mentality. They haven't gotten to the level of starting to become rulers, a ruling class mentality. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be what? Your shame. Because you're going to be ashamed of this. And the trust in the shadow of Egypt, your confusion. Now let's go to the 31st chapter. Let me move this over, because we're going to come back to the 30th chapter. 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many. And this is what Jake does. They trust in Egypt, which America today is modern day Egypt, and they stay on what? Horses and trust in chariots, because America's military is strong, the government is established, so-called organized, everything is already in place. They're giving them, governmental assistance, they got them put up in these different homes. They're getting all these benefits, so they don't want to lose that. They want to stay in that comfort zone. They don't mind being slaves as long as they can receive benefits. You see? It says, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Why? Because they're going about to establish their own righteousness. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words. Yeah, because the Most High is going to bring evil, the time of Jacob's trouble. Because Jacob's trusting in these devils. Let's see if these devils are going to help you when this whole system collapses. When Jacob's trouble is when we're in the midst of Jacob's trouble. Let's see if these devils are going to help you. Let's see if your trusting in him is going to help you. Let's see if your subservience to him is going to cause him to change his mind. No. He's just going to use that to his advantage. What he's going to do, he's going to, because this whole shift in the world economy and the way it's going, digital, is all set up to put people in a corner, in a box, so that they can accept the new form of payment, which is going to be digital currencies, which is going to be ultimately the MOTB in Revelation 13:16 down, and that is the micro C hip. Take the C, put it with the hip, you get it. It says, but will arise again. But will arise against the house of evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. Right. So the ones that go there for help are gonna be judged, and the ones that help, which are the Esau, in modern terms, Esau and them. So the Jakes that are going to him for help and the ones that are helping, which are the Edomites, they're going to be in a world of hurt. This is why it says in the Apocrypha, in the book of 2nd Ezra 16, and let's go down to 69. And they that consent unto them, meaning those of you Israelites that comply with Esau, and they that consent unto them shall be what? Had in derision. You're going to be left in confusion, in a confused, delusional state, and in reproach, shame, and trodden underfoot, because eventually you're going to get trodden underfoot. Because the ultimate goal that these devils have is to cull the herd, to cut down the population of the earth to a more manageable size. That's what all those jabs were about. That's what all this bad food is about. That's why everybody's feeling sick, because they're putting all kind of shit in the air, in the water, in the food. Even when you eat better, you still feel like you want to drop dead. No, we're being bombarded on all sides. The scriptures say we shall eat our bread defiled among the nations. It's only of the graces of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua that we're still able to function and move about. Because the shit that they're doing is it makes the body it debilitates the body. It breaks the body down. Even when you eat the right stuff, even when you exercise, even when you take, the herbs and and the right supplements and all of that. I remember times when you used to be able to eat a plate of food and feel good. Do a workout, you feel amazing. Feel like you could jump over the moon. Now it's like, you try to get through a workout sometimes, you can't wait till the shit is over with. Remember times when you go for a run, and once your heart open up real good, you feel like you could run forever. Anyway, Isaiah 31:3. Now the Egyptians are men and not the Most High, but Jake is trusting in them like they are the Most High. And their horses flesh and not spirit, because their horses represent what? It represents their defense. They're what? They're angels. They're not spirit. The angel of the Lord encamp around them that fear him to deliver them. So the angels of the Lord, which are spirit, they encamp around the righteous of the nation of Israel. But Jake, they trust in the Egyptians that are men, they're not the Most High, and in their horses or in their power, which is nothing but flesh. It can be defeated. The spirit is undefeated. That's a lesson right there. The spirit is undefeated. You listening, Barak Gabar or Bakar? It says, when the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down. We read the same thing in the second verse. Because the Most High is about to open up on these devils. And he's going to open up on you slave mentality Jakes out there. You docile, shucking and jiving, got your head stuck up Esau's ass Israelites out there. The Lord's going to get you. You're going to fall right along with your master. And they all shall what? Fall. Is that fall? No, fail together. They're going to fail together. Let's look up this word fail real quick. So they're going to fail together. Fail. The word is kala. Don't sound good. To accomplish, cease, consume. Yeah, you're going to be consumed together. What's going to be the consumption? Those missiles and the lasers from the chariots. Because some people, as Elder Apostle Gabar brings out from time to time, are going to actually be cut in half with those lasers from the chariots. It says, for thus hath the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion and for the hill thereof, right? Because the elect will be protected. Yeah, the Uncle Ruckus Israelites. It says, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. So the Lord is going to defend the elect of the nation of Israel by what the scriptures call chariots. The world calls them UFOs, UAPs, flying saucers, whatever you want to call them. As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. So the elect will be defended by what? By the vehicles and the men in the vehicles, which are the angels of the Lord, which are spirit, and not by Esau's technology or by Esau's military. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. You know? So you can't stay in that slave mentality. You got to come out of that slave mentality. Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 8, and I'll go write it before them in a table and note it in a book, which the Bible has already written. You know, this is the witness. The Bible is the witness against Jake, against Esau, against the nations. And the same Bible is the ticket out of here. Receive the engrafted word with meekness, which is able to save thy soul. Something along those, lines. That it says that it may be for the time to come forever and ever, right? Because this word never falters, it never fails. It's etched in stone. It's written forever. The words that we read in it, the history, the laws, everything within the pages, the judgments, everything is written forever. When the great transition comes, when Esau goes down and we come up, beginning with Yahushua on down, you know, all of these stories, all of this history, all of these laws, everything is going to be just transitioned right into the kingdom. We're still going to be able to read about Egypt and Moses and Sodom and Gomorrah and Genesis and the creation, you know, and Adam and Eve and the deliverance of Egypt. We'll be able to read about all of that history. King David, King Saul, King Solomon. You know, and guess what? There's going to be new books written for everything that took place after the Lord left all the way up until, you know, whenever. You know, actually all the way up until the deliverance from modern day Egypt, which is Babylon the Great. You know, records will never stop. It says that this is a rebellious people. You are rebellious, lying children. Yeah, because you give them the truth and they spit it out. Children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Why? Because they go about to establish their own righteousness, which say to the seers are prophets, see not. We don't want to know about that. We don't want to know nothing about that. Nope. Stop with this foolishness. We don't want to hear it. You know, stop it, because you're making things harder for us. You're making Massa be mad at us for your foolishness. Stop this foolishness. Apes, stop that foolishness. Which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. What are the right things? The things contained within the confines of this word. So like I had to get a little dramatic on that one. But it's the truth, you know? The things that are written within the book. That's how you find out what's wrong and what's right. How do you think the Lord is going to judge? Because he has a set of rules, regulations. He has the do's and the don'ts, the rights and the wrongs. The things that are pleasing, the things that are not pleasing. Speak unto us smooth things. And this is what Jake likes to hear. The smooth things. You know? Tell me about the goodness. Tell me about the, the easiness. The complacency. You know? I don't want to know about all that hard stuff. Nah, I don't want to know about that. I don't know about Jacob's trouble. I don't want to know nothing about the MOTB. I want to know about, how many wives I could have. You got a job for me? The lamb was good and the wine was good. Oh, y'all having a barbecue? I'll be there. You going to camp? Nah, I ain't going to be able to make it this week. But let me know when y'all going to have that barbecue. Y'all be having some banging ass barbecue, man. That barbecue lamb, oh my goodness. Prophesied deceits, and that's what they like. And a lot of these, well, the churches is the biggest joke on the planet, especially the black church. But even among these different camps, you have leaders that are prophesying deceits to the people, telling them that there's not going to be no Jacob's trouble, telling them that the MOTB is not the micro C-hip, so on and so forth. Some of them are even bugging out to the point where they're teaching about hell. There's a third hell. Really? Wow. This is what happens, man. You get them bag receivers. So it says, get you out of the way. Why? Because the Lord gave us a way. That's why it says, this is the way. Walk ye in it when you turn to the left hand and when you turn to the right. But they didn't want it. Because you're giving them the right path to get to the pleasing of the Heavenly Father for his protection. They don't want it. Get you out of the way. Turn aside out of the path. Cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. They don't want to hear. They're not interested. They're not concerned. Wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because you despise this word. And that's what they do. When they reject this word, they despise in the word. And the thing is that they're not rejecting us. They're not coming against us. They're rejecting Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. That's why Yahweh Shai said, he that denieth me, will I deny before my Father. And trust in what? Oppression and perverseness. Anything that's against the scriptures. And stay thereon, meaning they're pickled in it. Let's look up a couple of these words. Let's look up the word oppression. The word there is aishak. Oppression, extortion, injury, right? Oppression, extortion, gain by extortion. Yeah, because how are they being oppressed? Financially. And look at the state of the world. Why are people mourning? They're not mourning because, the happy people got rights. They're not mourning because of the injustices that are done for the most part. They're mourning because of their financial woes. But they trust in that. And then the word perverseness. Perverse is something that's against the scriptures. Lawaza, to depart, turn aside, right? So here it is, you got the truth. Man shouldn't be with man, woman shouldn't be with woman. But they don't want that. The Lord said he will mingle a perverse spirit in the midst of Egypt. And that's what Jake likes to go with. Look at this. Devious. To go wrong, go crooked. Check this out. To be lost from view, meaning that they don't have the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, he's lost from their view, his ways. And that's a beautiful precept the brother put up with, because that's the next precept coming up. Isaiah 10:20, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such as are escaped out of the house of Jacob, meaning the elect, shall no more stay upon them that smote them, because we were all in that mindset until the Lord woke us up, right? But not going to trust in Esau no more, but shall stay upon the Lord Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushai, the Holy One of Israel, in what? In truth. This is why Yahushai said, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. It says, the remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty power. For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness, right? The ones that are going to be saved. Because eventually they'll bring the rest back. For the Lord power of hosts shall make a consumption even determined in the midst of all the land. Yeah, because it's only going to be the elect that's going to be saved. And all the land, singular, America, the North Country. But the rest that are here are going to be consumed. But the elect are going to be taken up, delivered. So going back to Isaiah chapter 30 and 13, because you trust in oppression and perverseness, therefore this iniquity, or this sin on top of sin on top of sin, shall be to you as a breach or a breaking forth, ready to fall, swelling out in the high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. Because this thing is going to, even though it's building up, you can see it, it's going to pop off out of nowhere. Because that's how these devils like to operate. They like to operate when nobody's expecting it. Because no one, hardly anyone back then expected that 9/11 to happen. That was the furthest thing from people's minds. They were, some people were looking for certain things to happen, but not that. That took everybody off guard. And that one event changed the course of the world. That one event, moved their whole agenda up, quickly. And then the last thing so far, which was in 2020, that within the last 3 years, that has moved their plans forward exponentially, meaning quickly. It says, and he shall break it as a breaking of a potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. Yeah, because the Most High is going to cause this shattering. That Jacob's trouble, that's going to be terrible. It says, he shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of it assured to take fire from the heath, or to take water with all out of the pit. In other words, there's not going to be any mercy when this time comes. The only ones that's going to receive the mercy are the elect of the nation of Israel. Right. Let's go to Isaiah 55 and 6. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Why? Because it's going to be a time when the Lord is not going to be found. He's going to flee. He's going to be hiding. The only ones that are going to be protected in that time are going to be the elect. Because it says here, let's go real quick to Psalms 34 and 7. The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them. You see? Let's go to Proverbs 18. Proverbs 18 and 10. The name of the Lord, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. This is why the names of the Lord and his Son are very important. Then you got Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which the hour of temptation is ultimately when they mandate that micro C hip. And they push that on, well, look, if you don't take this, you're gonna starve. Most people are not gonna know what to do, and what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna just take it. Which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And this is why you see a global shift in the economy. Because this is going to be a global thing upon all of the world. The world that's on this grid is going to have to operate through the MOTB, which is the micro C hip. You know, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Right, because the Lord will deliver the elect. You know, so Jake is still in that same spirit. They still have that same slave mentality that we read about. A mental attitude that includes feeling of inferiority. You know, and we read back in the book of Judges that these Israelites, especially Judah, no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word for it. It escapes me right now. You know, but it's no coincidence that Judah here and then Judah in America, you know, Judah here in Judges 15 with the Philistines and Judah in America have the same mindset. Why you stirring things up, man? You making things hard for us, man. You see what your actions cause, man? Everybody's getting lynched. Everybody's catching hell. Massive mad, man. Behave yourself. That's what they said here. You said behave yourself. Right here, Judges 15 is 11. Then 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of the rock Etam and said to Samson, knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? Don't you know they are masters? What is this that thou hast done unto us? You making life harder for us, man. And then in Egypt, they made them serve with rigor. Moses, what are you doing, man? You making shit harder for us. And he said unto them, as they did unto me, so have I done unto them. Right. That's the return that Samson said, because he was justified in what he did. You know? So with that, Jake is still in that same spirit. You know, Lord's will, you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Until the next time I say, Shalom.